If I had to buy one Epiphone SG currently on the market, what would it be and why? Stick with me to the end of the video. I'm gonna break down the best Epiphone SGs by price and then give you my absolute favorites at the end. So let's dive in. Hey everybody, it's John from Plain Trade Guitars, and I feel like the SG is the most overlooked guitar in a guitar collection. The singing voice of an SG in a lightweight, resonant, thinner mahogany body with that double devil horn Florentine cutaway, that legendary rock and roll look, gotta own one, and there's great options that are super affordable from Epiphone. I'm gonna break down the absolute best, and I'll tell you now, if you're in the market for an SG or any other gear, click to buy that gear using the link pinned in the comments or down below in the description. Or if you're watching this on a TV, scan that QR code. You can shop with your smartphone. And one more thing, I'm giving away a Gibson Les Paul Standard when we hit 100,000 subscribers. To win that guitar, hit subscribe now if you haven't, turn on notifications, and enter down below. All right, it just blows my mind the number of true SGs under 500 bucks available from Epiphone. Great options. Let's kick it off with the SG Classic Worn P90. This is gonna be at $429. Unbelievable price for an SG with two P90s. If you want to spend just a little bit more, you can get this gloss finish, and this is one of the all-time best-selling Epiphone SGs and one of my personal favorites. I'm jumping the gun telling you that this is already one of my personal favorites. The SG Special, because it knocks out two categories, killing two birds with one stone. You're picking up an SG and you're picking up a guitar with P90 pickups. P90s are old school Gibson single coil pickups, an unbelievable blanket of warmth and neck position, and then a biting, aggressive, singing voice in treble or bridge position. You've got to have a guitar with P90s, and here's a way to do it at $449 in Pelham Blue, and I actually really like this sparkling burgundy finish as well. Between the worn and the gloss, I'd spend the $20 extra and get the gloss. I'm going to show you also for P90s the newer Epiphone Youngblood SG Junior. Rock and roll machine with just one dog ear P90. And I'll tell you, this is a great value because it's a little bit more money, but it includes a hard shell case. All right, talk about one and done. First of all, my favorite aesthetic with an SG, 61 Standard with that small guard. I'll show you the bat wing guard, which is popular in a second too. But I personally prefer the small guard look of a 61. And let's talk neck profiles for a second. There's really three neck profiles of an SG. Most of them are gonna be slim, like a 61. An SG Standard that we'll get to is gonna have kind of a medium neck profile, while there is one in the collection, which I'll show you soon, which actually has like a 50s style thick neck. There's only one out there. If you want an SG with a thick neck, we'll get there. But this is my personal preference, to have this 61 slim, and with that double cutaway, you can get all the way up to the upper register. These are the Epiphone Pro buckers based on Gibson burst buckers. So vintage PAF humbucker tone. And look at this, it's currently on sale at $439. So how can you argue with a 61 Standard SG from Epiphone? This is kind of the one and done SG. Again, jumping the gun, but I'm telling you, this is an excellent choice that I'm really excited about. If you want something a little more modern, don't skip the SG Muse. Really cool radio blue metallic. This has got the Alnico Classic Pro pickups, which are some of my favorite from Epiphone as well. Those are typically seen on the semi-hollow offerings from Epiphone. That's great value. That's for another video. In this application, you have Alnico Classic Pro humbuckers with coil splits. So these clear volume and tone knobs are going to give you a push-pull coil split to get a single coil sound out of those humbuckers, giving you added versatility in the Muse SG at $439, still under 500 bucks. It's just insane what they're giving you here. Now I mentioned the SG Standard, medium neck profile, classic Angus Young bat wing guard. So this bat wing is the larger pick guard here, and aesthetically, many people prefer that. I like the small guard, as I told you. You can tell me what your preference is in the comments. But if you want the quintessential SG, I think that has gone down in rock and roll history as just the iconic look, whether it's Angus Young or School of Rock, the SG Standard and Heritage Cherry, it's pretty hard to argue with that. $499, pretty hard to argue with that as well. Available in Heritage Cherry, Ebony, which looks super sharp, or Alpine White. Epiphone has so many guitars in their lineup that sometimes you see duplicates, and I'll tell you, anytime you see an Epiphone inspired by Gibson, so they had the Gibson SG Standard I just showed you, this is the inspired by Gibson SG Standard, that's the more refreshed one. So when they did this inspired by Gibson line, they just kind of revamped the same guitar with a few added features. Some beautiful finish options that aren't available in the other one I showed you. It is $100 more, but you can get finishes like the Silver Mist or the TV Yellow. Or the classics like Ebony, Heritage Cherry, or Pelham Blue. So what I tell you here is that this is the most recent refresh of the SG Standard in the Epiphone lineup. It's $100 more, but the one at $499 I showed you is excellent too. So you could just save yourself $100 and get the prior one that I already showed you. Another modern option that gives you not only coil splitting, but an out-of-phase middle switch is going to be the SG Modern. And they also give you this great look of a flamed maple top on an SG, which is traditionally just a slim mahogany body. Or probably my personal favorite, costs a little bit more, is the Mojave Burst, also with a gig bag. There's also a purple burst. So you can see they really went modern. And another notable thing here is that you have an ebony fretboard here. So while the other examples I showed you were laurel imitating a rosewood, this is going to be an ebony fretboard. You also have the added value of these locking tuners. That's actually a huge value in and of itself. Locking Grover tuners. And then you have these humbuckers. In the case of these, it's going to be the Epiphone Pro buckers with push-pull coil splits and the phase flip for that out-of-phase middle position sound, which is super funky and really fun to play. Now, if you wanted the Gibson SG Standard 61 with a Maestro Vibrola, it'd cost you about $2,400. Here you can get the Standard 61 with a Maestro Vibrola, $599. Not much explanation needed. Pretty cool way to get that vintage tremolo effect of a Maestro Vibrola at an insanely great price. How cool is this? One of the best looking guitars. You take an SG, dress it up in a tuxedo, just like they did with the Les Paul. We have the SG Custom. This is gonna sport one of my favorite headstocks, that split diamond inlay on the headstock, an ebony fretboard with these block perloid inlays, and just this sleek gold hardware with this black on black look. And check this out, using this link exclusively, you can get extra finishes not available anywhere else. So you can click to buy any of these guitars or any gear using the link or scan the QR code here. And the black is really cool, but check out these exclusive finishes. You got blue sparkle, gold sparkle, purple, and silver sparkle, all at the same price, $629, exclusively using that link or this QR code. All right, I mentioned earlier, there's one SG with a rounded, thick neck profile, like a 50s Gibson neck profile, and that is the Tony Iommi SG Special. Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath is associated with this SG that has two P90 pickups and a thick neck. So if you're somebody who loves the idea of an SG, but you like a thicker neck profile, that's hard to find on an SG. Tony Iommi is the one place in the Epiphone lineup you can find that. This has been a bestseller too. This is the Epiphone 1961 inspired by Gibson Custom Les Paul SG. Why is it called a Les Paul? Because in the early 60s, they redesigned the Les Paul to be what we now call the SG. They were competing with Fender in a world of double cutaway, sleek, modern playable guitars. They needed a revamp to compete and make their guitars more playable. So they turned the Les Paul into the double cut SG as we know it today. And this is a recreation of that 61 SG. Age Classic White, I will point out, is more of a matte or eggshell finish. If you get the other SG Standard 61 that I showed you at $439 currently on sale, that's gonna be a full gloss finish, so just keep that in mind. But here's where the value gets really good here. At $949, it's more expensive, but it includes a hard shell case, and most importantly, you get true Gibson USA burst bucker humbuckers, which is a huge value. This is a bestseller for a great reason and a very popular choice if you want a one and done classic SG Standard 61 with Gibson pickups. Also for those modern high gain players or somebody who wants a modern sound, particularly with a beautiful full modern clean tone, check out the Epiphone SG Prophecy. Instead of vintage inspired humbuckers, you're gonna have these Fishman Fluence pickups, which are gonna handle high gain applications and give you a super clean tone as well. And you get these great finishes with the Bengal Tiger Burst, jet black metallic. These are a little more expensive at $1099, but remember, high gain, more modern if you're gonna check out the SG Prophecy. All right, the most expensive SG from Epiphone. Can you guess what it is? Here it is. It's the 1963 Les Paul SG Custom with Maestro Vibrola. Man, talk about the works, the kitchen sink here. It's got everything on here. Not only does it have an ebony fretboard with true mother of pearl block inlays and that split diamond headstock and a true Gibson open book mustache headstock. I said the works, right? It's got 3 Gibson custom bucker humbuckers. Just these pickups alone, that's $750 worth of humbuckers in this 3 pickup SG. And it's not over yet, right? It's got the Maestro Vibrola and the combination of that gold hardware, that classic white finish, the works on this guitar. It is expensive at $1499, but if you want an SG with everything on it and something that's gonna really turn heads on stage, hard to argue with the 1963 Les Paul SG Custom. Insanely cool guitar. I can't say 3 pickup guitars to me are the most practical. It probably wouldn't be my one and done SG, but it might be yours. And this has truly got everything that you could juice out of Epiphone today on the market. All right, I know we're talking SGs, but as I was shopping, I spotted 2 opportunities I don't want you to miss. One is the Epiphone exclusive Firebird, available only using this link. It's $150 off $499 for a Firebird. Why is this important? Epiphone makes a killer Firebird. The other one, same olive drab finish, also 150 bucks off. Epiphone exclusive Flying V. Just wanted to point those out real quick because I think it's worth mentioning. It's a great deal. All right, what do you think of my overall picks for the Epiphone SGs? I went from low to high in terms of price. We talked P90s versus humbucker. Fretboard options were ebony or laurel, and we talked all kinds of features, including the very exciting inspired by Gibson Custom, where we have true Gibson pickups on Epiphone guitars, and even one that has that open book Gibson headstock. Really cool work from Epiphone these days. Here are my absolute favorites. And as I do this, why don't you drop a comment, tell me your absolute favorite from Epiphone SG, and tell me which one you'll buy next. When you're ready to buy any gear, click to buy that gear using our link. Helps me make these videos, and you get those easy payment plans and fast free shipping. And don't forget to hit subscribe because we're giving away that Les Paul. Let's look at my absolute favorites now. All right, one of my all-time favorites, because it's an SG and it's got P90s. SG Special, I love Pelham Blue at $449, unbelievable value. Oh man, if I had to be one and done under 500 bucks personally, this is it. Epiphone SG Standard 61. Getting into an SG with everything you want out of an SG for $439, currently on sale. Don't sleep on that one. SG Standard, if you prefer that Batwing large guard and you want that Angus Young classic rock and roll look, under 500 bucks. SG Standard medium neck profile too, so it's slightly thicker neck profile than the slimmer 61 profile as well. If you want a real rounded, thick neck profile with P90s, the Tony Iommi SG is going to be the one that gives you a thick neck on an SG, making that one particularly unique and one that I want to recommend as one of my favorites. All right, now I snuck in a true Gibson. Why? Because it happens that the best value, in my opinion, from Gibson USA, period, is the Gibson SG Special. It's going to give you a made in America Gibson USA SG Special, made in Nashville, Tennessee for $15.99 with a hard shell case in this beautiful vintage cherry, or my personal pick here is actually the ebony. I think that just looks killer. But you can get into a true Gibson at $15.99. So I don't know if you're shopping around for that $14.99, 63 SG Special, you're looking to drop over $1,000. Just telling you, think about going for the Gibson SG Special because that's a great value at the lower end of Gibson USA's price range, starting to bump into the upper end of Epiphone's price offerings. Just want to point that out. All right, but we'll get back to Epiphones. And the best seller here, and I can't recommend this guitar enough. I will point out the matte finish. It throws a few people because it's not gloss like you might be expecting, but overall the value is here. This is the 61 Les Paul SG at $949. Gibson burst bucker pickups and a hard shell case. And now my two absolute favorites. Here we go. I'll remind you, if you're shopping for this gear, click that link or scan that QR code. Here we go. It's got to be the Epiphone SG Special. If I want P90s, that's my one and done, under 500 bucks. You'll notice that my absolute favorite is also under 500 bucks. Are you ready for that one? Here it is. My absolute favorite Epiphone SG has got to be that Epiphone SG Standard 61, currently on sale, $439. Just stop right there and go buy it. If you don't own an SG or you're not typically an SG player, you've got to add one to your collection, and this is going to give you the classic configuration with humbuckers under 500 bucks. I love this guitar. It looks great, it plays great, and it sounds great. Done deal. So it's not always the most expensive. This will fit the bill at $439, and I can't be happier with this guitar. Let me know what you think of my picks. Drop a comment. Let me know your favorite Epiphone SGs. Which guitar are you in the market for? What piece of gear are you going to buy next? Can't wait to talk to you in the comments and see you on the next video. Keep in mind, I've done these same buyer's guides for the Fender Stratocaster and Telecaster and the Epiphone Les Paul and Gibson Les Paul. More to come. Don't miss the full demos for all these guitars on Play & Trade Guitars. If one of these piques your interest, you can go watch my in-depth demo with specs and performance demos. I'm making it easy for you because I've played all these. I'm telling you my absolute favorites, and I'm making it easy so that you get the best value when you're buying an Epiphone SG. Hope this helps. Hit subscribe if it did help you, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm John for Play & Trade Guitars. Thanks for watching, and keep playing.